Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a disassembly as well as some first impressions for you of this little guy right here. This is the TRM Neutron with an NEW, or the Neutron, however you'd like to think about it, but this is the brand new version of the TRM Neutron. I'm going to do some first impressions later on, but I figure one of the very first things to do is just to talk about the differences, and honestly there aren't that many. The Neutron is a little bit more contoured in hand. The liners are nested a little bit, and it's maybe a little bit thinner behind the edge. I feel like, the tip on it is certainly more thinly ground. Overall, and the clip, by the way, is one of the bigger differences. The clip here is a full deep carry clip rather than the shallower clip, although it's worth noting that the original clip, or at least an original style clip, still does fit. But it still has all the things you're looking for here, and we're going to take it on apart here. Start off, let's go ahead and take off the scales here. This is a carbon fiber scale. This is a very, very similar carbon fiber to what has been done on some of the Spyderco S90V PM2s, is the place where I felt this carbon fiber before. Hey, Torx. Nice. The prior version of the Neutron had Phillips head screws right there. But anyways, those look to be T6, I bet. Yeah, T6. Beautiful. Pop those loose. Yeah, but this seems to just be a quality of life improvement sort of thing for the TRM Neutron, right? And not that the Neutron was a bad knife by any stretch. In fact, it was my knife of the year one of these years here. So it's a good freaking knife, but they've done a couple of things that just make it a little bit nicer. The nested line is it a big deal? Absolutely not. But it definitely feels nicer. It feels a little bit more luxurious, and it looks a little bit nicer. Looks like the pivot is now, they've done something different to make it less free spinning, which is good. What else do we have here? Let me grab my little iFixit spudger tool, and if you're curious about this or any of the other tools I'm using during this or any other disassembly, go ahead and check out nickshabazz.com/tools, and you will see a listing of every damn one I use. Let's pop this loose. Just bound on the stop pin up there. Not a big deal. Just kind of gradually working it out of there. Working it out. Working overtime. Okay, wow, that's kind of in there, isn't it? Oh boy, come on, pop it loose there, bro. Notice, by the way, that I'm holding on to the blade as I do this. The reason I'm holding this guy by the blade is because that way I know that the blade is nowhere near any of the structures, mostly on my hand, that I care. Well, I mean, it's right in my hand, but it's not going to, the exposed edge isn't going to accidentally reach out and kiss me as I'm manipulating with this. Manipulating with it. As I'm manipulating this. There we go. That's the English approach. But what we're seeing here is a very simple kind of approach. We're seeing the same three-hole pattern as the original clip there. We can see that just from the inside there. We're seeing the fact that the shoulders are, the standoffs on these guys are still not shouldered, meaning that there's still no hole that the standoffs slide into, and in fact the screws are still going into the other liner. Is that the end of the world? No. Is that the best thing ever? No, not that either. But you know what? It is what it is. But that hasn't really changed. We see the washes are a little bit bigger, actually, I think, relative to the original Neutron, which I actually just took apart in a video. You're welcome to do a disassembly or a comparison of those things. Did this come pre-sharpied? That's interesting. I won't guarantee you that because, for all I know, I use this cloth already. Or that could be fountain pen ink. Anyways, but it really don't seem to be that many differences in internal construction. Mostly the nested liners, the change in the clip there, and yes, I think slightly larger washes, yeah. But anyways, this is, so far, a pretty damn straightforward thing to do. Let's go ahead and start cleaning things off here. Using some rubbing alcohol on a little fabric swatch here. That's not keyed. Usually I'll put my pivot on the end of a screwdriver. That way I can kind of turn it inside the cloth there. Big pivot on this guy. This has got some big pivot energy. Damn. Anyways, I digress. Looks like, oh, interesting. The pivot seats in the back side here, but it's only D-shaped on the front side. So I need to make sure that the pivot is flat part up. Okay. Noted. It's not necessarily ideal, but, whatever. Here we go. Just clean off these washes. This is factory freaking fresh from the TRM. just bought this off of them, along with one of their little stroppy dudes, which is nice. But, anyways, yeah, so the Neutron here, I'm very curious about it. In practice, I'm going to go ahead and spoil it for you a little bit. This is probably going to be a gem, right? Because what they've done here is they've taken what was an amazing knife and they've made a couple of small quality of life improvements to it. And guess what? It's still amazing, right? They have not screwed it up in any meaningful way that I've noticed yet. I mean, give me time. I'm still going to carry it. I'm still going to do a full review here. But so far, it just seems to be a slightly better version of already a really good knife. So I don't really see a whole lot of... I don't really see a future universe in which this guy doesn't end up being a gem. But at the same time, I got to check it out, right? Oh, now you want to come unseated. Just getting that stop pin in there is currently, it's not fully engaged. Poked back out through the liner. So I might have to press the, actually here, that's what I'll do. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my pivot, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to install it. I'm going to use a little bit of wow, too many littles. I'm going to use a little bit of thread locker here, and just put the pivot in place. I'm not going to super, crank it down here yet because nothing's put together. And this is going to cause me pain as I try and get those backspaces in. But what this will do is it'll allow me to kind of rotate the scale here a little bit, as well as to take the blade out of play. This means that there we go. See, when the blade is locked open, it is locked against the face of the lock here, right against this part here, as well as, sorry, I'm at the wrong angle here, but it is also against the stop pin. So it's very difficult to manipulate the stop pin with the blade fully open. And in fact, with the blade fully closed, it's also contacting the stop pin. So the best way to play with the stop pin, so to speak, is to have it partly open. I'm going to use this little hard plastic spudger tool to kind of press it the rest of the way in. And again, just being mindful of where that blade is at. Yeah, we are fully seated now. And now at this point, I can open and close the knife without, any serious concern. Okay. Next step is going to be to insert these standoffs. I know already that I'm going to want some tweezers for this, so I'll just use these little guys. This little pair of tweezers, or at least these kinds of tweezers, I've seen them referred to as bandage tweezers. Either way, I don't know exactly what they are. They're not like needlepoint stuff like you would find for, tweezing your eyebrows or whatever. Or, going after ingrown hairs. It's not that style of tweezer. Instead, it's just like, it's a blunt tip, but it's reasonably thin. And I find that this is just super effective for damn near every task. Well, at least a lot of the tweezer-related tasks. I made a tactical error there in that I tightened this part down too much, and that's making it harder to slide these other guys into position. So that wasn't great, but that's okay. Where is my next screw? Right here. But anyways, using those tweezers allows me to manipulate the standoffs there to be in the right position. And I'm not fully cranking that one down yet. I'll take this guy, slide it right up into the here. Oh, yeah. Yep, that'll do. And then slip this guy closed. Like I said, Neutron, one of the questions that you always have to ask yourself as a reviewer when you deal with a model like this is this a new knife? And what I mean by that is, like, does that matter? Like, the ship of Theseus, right? How much do you have to change before it's a new knife? They're nowhere near this much. I mean, this is not a, this is very similar to the, oh boy, that's smoother though. Hot damn. Anyways, is this a new knife for the purposes of questions like, and see, this is now no longer, it doesn't rotate against each other. That's one of the downsides with this guy, is getting the alignment right, because the backspaces are the G10 is floating on the outside there. Getting that alignment right can be a little less than ideal on occasion. But, is this a new knife for purposes of Knife of the Year comparison discussion? I don't think so. In this case, it would feel, and I'm not, by the way, saying that this is the Knife of the Year or anything like that. All I'm saying is that the previous iteration, which was a slightly lesser version of this guy, was a strong contender for Knife of the Year. I feel like this guy might be too. But I don't feel like this would be fair if I were to say, oh yeah, knife of the year, TRM Neutron, whatever the heck you want to call it. That would feel off to me. So likely what I'm going to just couch this as is an improvement, a great improvement on something that already existed. And I'm probably just going to go ahead and exclude it from those categories. I may change my mind, but I'll mention it in the review if I do. But anyways, I think it's time for some first impressions, because now this knife is running smoother than ever. And I used some knife pivot lube on this guy, by the way, because I like that a little bit better with washer actions. So today, the first impressions are profoundly positive, right? Look, it's the Neutron, but it's a little better. That's a good thing to be, right? And it's like saying, well, it's gold, but it's a little more expensive. Like, yeah, that's going to be expensive. This guy is quite good. The improvement in my mind, the biggest improvement is I think the nested liners really do add something. One of the things they add appears to be a little tiny increase in thickness. Actually, I should get out. I can measure this. We have objective technology to do so. Let me go ahead and measure this up real quick. This is a degree of accuracy that is well beyond, he says, as he screws up the use of this device. Okay, looking like 0.3595 inches. Don't quote me on that last significant digit. I don't know that it's actually significant. Versus 0.338. Yeah, that's looking like this guy's a little bit thinner. So this guy is a little bit thicker, but that said, the original wasn't really a thick boy, right? But the biggest thing is this, the nested liners. It really does add a feeling of quality to the knife. And, you know, this is one of my big things, and one of the improvements of, come here, Adam, of the TRM Atom, which this is an example of here, relative to the Neutron. The Neutron had the bare liners. This guy had the nested ones. I like that. I think it just makes the scales blend in a little bit better. It just makes it a nicer piece. The grind on this guy is just a little tiny bit thinner than the original Neutron, which is a beautiful thing. Absolutely. The deep carry clip is definitely deeper carry. They, like I said, you can still use the original clip on there. And in fact, they sent me a classic clip for it. I don't know if it is a Neutron classic style clip or if it is literally the clip from the Neutron. Boy, that looks like literally the clip from the Neutron. But anyways, you know, it has the deep carry clip now by default. And like I said, washes seem a little bit bigger. If there are other changes, I'm not super aware of them. But mostly, it's a little bit better. It's an incremental improvement. It's a quality of life thing, continuous quality improvement. If this were a Spyderco, it'd feel like that. Yeah, it's just the Neutron, just a little better. The only area where I object, the only area where I have a little bit of trouble is that this clip is very, very tight against it, and then this material is a little grabby against the pocket. And as a result, this guy is definitely a little bit harsher on the pocket than one might anticipate and one might desire. I suspect that'll be a little nicer on the micarta scales, because I also bought a set of micarta scales for this guy, because, well, why not, right? But anyways, I think that'll be a little bit different there, because this is a very kind of scratchy scale, but that's really the only objection I have, at least at this point. Mostly, I mean, my initial impression, and I suspect my final impression, is going to be like, hey, if you like the Neutron, here's one that's slightly improved. If you have a Neutron, do you need to get a Teutron? I don't think so. Will I carry the Teutron a little bit more? Yeah, probably. Will I sell my Neutron? That's actually a more complicated question than you'd think. I'm somewhat partial to keeping... yeah, but nonetheless, I feel like, yeah, there's no reason to get a Neutron 1 if the Neutron 2 is also available to you. Although, let's be real here, availability will probably not be straightforward. I know they're trying. They really are. But, yeah. Nonetheless, but the 1 is absolutely not like, oh, this is trash. Now get it too. It's better. So anyways, I guess that's my feeling, is it's a little bit better. Not like, oh my God, different, but it's a little bit better. And frankly, if a company is willing to take something that was already an amazing piece and make it a little bit better, that sure feels like a win to me. So anyways, there you go. And here, let's that going to look like with the mica? Oh, that's going to be attractive. I might make that happen. Anyways, hope this has been interesting to you, and have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.